Have you ever planted a garden? That can be really frustrating work. You plant some seeds in the early spring and they sprout, and then you bring them outside and then there's a frost and they all die. So then you try it again, you plant more seeds and those ones grow up, and then there's a drought. So you have to constantly water them. And finally, when they bloom and fruit begins to show up, then you find there's a groundhog or a deer or a rabbit munching away on your garden. It can be very frustrating work. But gardens are not the only frustrating work. All work can be frustrating. Sin has taken God's good world and frustrated it, made it so that the work we do is fruitless. It never works out well. But in Jesus, we see work being accomplished. We see Jesus coming into the world in his ministry, performing great work. He did the work of a doctor when he healed broken bodies. He did the work of a farmer when he multiplied bread and gave people food to eat. We see Jesus doing powerful work, mighty work, when he raised people from the dead. And on the cross, we see Jesus accomplishing the greatest work of all, the work that nobody else could do, the work of salvation. On the cross, Jesus said this, John chapter 19. When Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. He accomplished the work that was necessary, the work for our salvation. And because Jesus has done that work, we don't have to work to earn God's favor. We don't have to work to pay off our sins because they've been paid off for us. Because of the work of Jesus, we now get to work for others. We get to work for our neighbors, work for the well-being of our community. He's done the work to earn our salvation. Now we get to work for others. How do we serve our neighbors? Well, there's a number of ways that Lutherans have historically served their neighbors, through family, through farming, through emergency relief, education, through hospitals. But that's an incomplete list. Those aren't the only ways that people serve their neighbors. There's a number of different ways. Do you volunteer on a community board or a church board? Do you coach your child's soccer team? Do you pray for people? Are you a student and you help tutor a classmate? Do you drive the speed limit? Do you vote? Do you pay your taxes? All of these are ways that we can serve our neighbor. And the ways that we serve our neighbors depend on who we are, the gifts that God has given us, the people that God has put all around us. So what are some ways that Christians can serve their neighbors? What are some ways that you personally can serve your neighbors? Open up your small catechism and look at the table of duties. There you'll see many different vocations, many different callings that we have. As I look through there, as I think of the vocations I have, I see that God works through me as a husband, as a father, caring for my daughters. God works through me as pastor, proclaiming the good news of Jesus. God works through me as a son to my parents, a brother to my siblings. God is at work in many different ways through these vocations. Take a look at your own life. Think about the vocations that you've been called to. What is God doing in those vocations? How is God at work for others through you?